Senator from Nebraska.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to continue my tribute to Nebraska heroes, the men and women who have given their lives defending our freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan. Each of these Nebraskans has a powerful story to tell. Today, I will reflect upon the life of Nebraska Army National Guard Specialist Blake Kelly. Blake was a typical small-town Nebraska boy. Born and raised in Shelby, Nebraska, which has a population of just over 700, Blake lived next to the city park. His parents, Randy and Patty, have lived in the same house for 44 years. Blake's early life was filled with football, track, lifeguarding at the local swimming pool in the summer, band major duties, and playing the drums. In fact, he met his future wife, Christina, at band practice in 1997. He loved to play the drums, and the neighborhood, well, they always knew when he was practicing. When he was old enough to cruise around Shelby, his dad, Randy, bought him a 1976 Dodge Charger. Every small-town Nebraska boy needs a car. Blake knew everyone around town, and everyone knew him. He was always happy and eager to help someone solve a problem. In high school, one of his teachers encouraged him to join the National Guard. For Blake, this was an opportunity to spread his wings and go to college using the Guard's tuition assistance program. In 2000, between his junior and senior year in high school, he went through Army basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Before graduation in 2001, he asked Christina to marry him. After becoming engaged and graduating from high school, Blake attended advanced training at Fort Knox in Kentucky that included Ranger training. He returned home in September 2001, just as life in the United States was changing forever following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Shortly after, Blake enrolled at Southeast Community College in Beatrice to study animal science. There, he became interested in rodeo and joined the school's rodeo team. The year 2002 was a busy one for Blake, filled with school, National Guard training, The year 2002 was a busy one for Blake, filled with school, National Guard training with the 1st Squadron, 167th Cavalry, known as the CAV, and wedding planning. He and Christina, they tied the knot on September 7th, 2002, just as the CAV was preparing to deploy to Bosnia. At that time, early active duty Army resources were devoted to fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. But the United States still had significant commitments to peacekeeping operations in the Balkans. The CAV's mission was an ideal one for the National Guard and a critical element in our national security. The CAV arrived in Bosnia in January 2003. And just before Blake left Nebraska with the unit, Christina learned that she was pregnant. In Bosnia, Blake delved into the mission at hand. He was always ready, eager to serve, and connected well with the local population. Unit chaplains needed help, so he embraced his Catholic faith even more deeply by becoming a Eucharist minister and actively supporting chapel programs. On July 29, 2003, Blake was killed in an accident involving his convoy and a local vehicle. The loss of Blake was the first casualty of a deployed Nebraska Army National Guard member in over a decade. His community and the entire state were shocked. He was buried at St. Mary's Catholic Church in rural Nebraska on August 6, 2003. The entire town turned out for the funeral, as did freedom riders from throughout Nebraska. Blake's son Simon was born in September 2003, the month the Cav returned home from their deployment. Today, Simon is a freshman in high school, and Christina maintains a tight relationship with Blake's family. Randy and Patty, his parents, still live in the same house in Shelby. In 2014, the town of Shelby dedicated a Veterans Memorial, and Blake's family played a prominent role in the dedication ceremony. Blake's spirit lives on, and he is remembered in so many ways. Specialist Blake Kelly embodied the pride of his small town and his state. He served his country with distinction, and he loved his family. I am honored to tell his story. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.